the interviews start?
Sunday,
Sunday.
this Sunday.
Okay, we're
Monday.
live.
Do you know what time yet?
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
So I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order for the City Advertising and Promotion Commission for our July 8th, 5 p.m. workshop. Melissa made a request that we maybe change the order here. I had the auditorium and then bylaws and the Ozark Folk Festival, and she requested that we move Ozark Folk Festival to number 1, just so that Nancy could,
Yeah.
okay, is that okay with you? Does anybody oppose that? No, if we don't have anybody oppose that, then Nancy, come up to the microphone and let's hear what you got about Folk Festival.
Okay. Hi, y'all. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to put on Folk Festival, because it really is one of my favorite things in town, and I've spent many years trying to make it work, you know, and even at this late date, booking it and everything, I think we can have a nice little folk festival. You know, we have to look at whether the weather will be good that week, if we have enough inside venues and things like that. So we're talking with Main Stage to have an inside venue that's not the auditorium. Larry Schaefer is going to do a show on Saturday night. He's confirmed that. We don't have a Friday night show, so we will have to book one, which is not in our budget. We can move a little bit of the money around and make some room for that at this point. I talked to Jeff. I have a chance to get Greg Brown as an act, which if you may not know him, but if you do know him, you're probably a huge fan. He's a very popular person in the folk world, and he does not play out much. He does not play in this region almost at all. He's practically retired, and he would be a wonderful show for Friday night if we could get him. And we've got Melissa Carper and her band. She's been on the alt country charts all year, and her latest CD is doing really good, and we'd have to do a rider to make sure she didn't play in the area for 30 days either way. But I want to incorporate doing writers workshop at the Writers Colony. I want to have ESSA do some craft demonstrations. I've talked to both of them. They're interested in doing that around town. I want to get all the local venues in town to do folk music that weekend so we can put them on the schedule, which makes the festival larger and supports the people that pay the taxes. I've already talked to John and, of course, Jeff, and then Chelsea's and the other venues, and got a hold to make sure that they're going to put folk in their venues for the weekend so we can have that all on the schedule. What else do I have here? I'm looking for some sponsors for maybe Main Stage or the Friday night show that would make the budget a little easier for us to get by. And basically book as soon as possible and get the information out there so we can start building an audience, because I really feel like Folk Festival has kind of lost its brand. When I first worked for Folk Festival in 2007, when the festival was in October, we had people that came every year. It was really built up. When it moved to November, it lost that push, and it's never really quite gotten that push back. And I'd like to see Folk Festival get its brand and get its name going, where people have it on their calendar that they're going to come every year and it's something they want to do. Because folkies are very loyal people, and they will spend a lot of money when they come to town. And there's most folk festivals now have VIP packages that are like $600–700 for the higher level folkies. So the people who are interested in this kind of music spend their money, and they're very loyal. So I'd really like to build the Folk Festival brand back and make it something town can be proud of, because it is the oldest folk festival in the country, 74 years. It's a great little jewel that we have, and we need to make the most of it that we can. So, does anybody have any questions? Yeah.
What are you looking for on your sponsorships?
Well, I was hoping that maybe I could get someone to cover the cost of renting Main Stage for the weekend, you know, and maybe pay for a little bit of music in that. That would be like, $1,000 would probably cover all the Main Stage expenses. Jeff was talking about trying to find a sponsor for Greg Brown. I don't know if he had any luck doing that or not, but it would be nice to have a little extra just to do some workshops, and maybe some songwriting workshops, or maybe some luthier workshops, to see if maybe Sunrise Guitar would be interested in that. And then I know some people in town that have an interest in folk and have approached me about helping me. I've done the Eureka House concerts for 10 or 12 years, so I have a small base of folk music lovers there that are interested in supporting it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So $1,000.
Yeah, $1,000 basically for main stage, and then see what else I can get from other people. Yeah.
How much do we need for Greg Brown, would you say?
You know, I haven't put in an offer. He has to fly down and he'd need rooms. And I was thinking, I don't want to insult him. It's one of these things that, I do with the house concerts. I usually do the lower end because I have a 40-person room. But I would think between $7,000 and $10,000 is probably what he would cost. I would probably start at $7,000 and see. I'm waiting to get his rider from his agent to see if they're going to cover the plane and motel costs and things like that. But Greg's a great guy, and like I say, he's got a loyal fan following. So I don't know if he could fill the room, but I'm pretty sure that he could halfway fill the auditorium, and that would pay the money back we've got invested in it. Yeah. So, anyone else?
So I had a couple of thoughts that we had talked about the Greg Brown. We talked about whether or not the commission might be interested in going ahead and doing that as an event and selling tickets.
Yeah.
We could do that on Friday. We could sell tickets. We would have to allocate money to get that, but we might make our money back.
You might make your money back, and I'm pretty sure I think you could cover his cost and do a break even at least, in my mind. The other person that I'd reached out to was Jonathan Bird, who's played the folk festival here before and has a local following that would be a lower price entertainer, and him with Melissa Carper on a Friday night, you could do a $10, $15 ticket and still have a show and probably also break even, I would think.
Right. Then we had another idea, was to do the concert on Thursday, which is much better for tourism, and do it as a free show.
Yeah.
But if we do that, that means that we're on the hook for all of it except for whatever we make concessions, right?
Right.
And so I think that those are options. I like the idea of a Thursday show that's free to kind of really give kind of new life and new energy to Folk Festival.
Yeah.
But it's going to cost more money, right?
Yeah.
To do that. But at the same time, we're doing really good. We have a surplus. Rick, if I'm reading this right, we're $125,000 surplus for over our budget right now. And so we need to have a workshop, I would say pretty quickly. I'd like for us to consider a workshop where we look at what are we going to do to bring tourism up for the rest of the year with our surplus. We'll do that next week, but we do have the money in our surplus if we decided we wanted to do a
If
free
we
show.
did a Greg Brown show on Thursday, had Jonathan Bird and Melissa on Friday, and then Larry, whoever that is that we'll know at a future date, on Saturday, that would be a really good folk festival. I actually have booked for my house concert on Sunday before I started doing all this, Sam Baker to come do my house concert, which is also a big national folk name. So then we would have a big name Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday that people might plan to come and stay the whole weekend because it would be worthwhile staying, and especially if we had a few workshops. And the other thing I wanted to talk to the museum about, seeing if we could get some of the voices, silent voices, people to be around town in the downtown district on Saturday at Folk, sitting in front of the historic buildings, talking about the history of the different buildings in town. This was Joanna Hanna's idea, and I thought it was brilliant. She says the history of the town gets ignored a little bit, and we could do some posters on windows of what the building was before, and maybe have some actors around town just kind of promoting the history of town. And then I'd like to have some open mics, like at Brews or workshop at Moho's, and just scattered events around town that get people out walking around the shops and walking the streets and enjoying town a little bit more than just an auditorium show. And that's why I like Main Stage too. I was going to talk to the Basin Park to see if there's any way we could get the barefoot ball on Saturday in case it is snowing or raining. So we could have the music up there on at least one day and maybe have the barefoot ball there. Normally we can't get it because he can book a wedding on those days, and there's more money in weddings than anything else in this town, so that's kind of hard. But I was going to approach him anyway to see if we could get the barefoot ballroom on Saturday at least for the festival. But just finding places, if we have a Saturday show here with Larry, we can't use this building for the music in the park if it's raining. So we would have to move it to main stage or have an alternative place for the music in the park on Saturday if it's sleeting or snowing or it's not beautiful weather. And hopefully it'll be beautiful weather, but we don't know, we won't know till at least 3 weeks out what the projection is.
I'd hesitate trying to book a Thursday show.
You know,
I can tell you from working with Sally on Blues Festival, and they tried to put a Thursday show. I mean, when you couldn't walk in the streets, Thursday was a dog.
yeah.
They couldn't
yeah.
get anybody, so
Yeah.
I'd seriously want to rethink a Thursday show.
I'm open to anything. That was a suggestion made to me, I think a Thursday show in November might be difficult just because there's a lot of things that go on. People are already planning for Christmas and Thanksgiving and that. So it's not a big, long weekend month. So that's up to you all. I'm your producer, and you all tell me what you'd like me to do, and I will do it, and I will try to put on a good festival for you and make everyone happy. So that's my approach to it. I would really like to have some, at least one really good folk name group. I've got Still on the Hill is willing to come play in the park, and they could do some of their Ed Stilley stuff or their Ozark brand stuff. Willie Carlisle, who's playing this Saturday, is really big in the local folk, and he's willing to come play. I've got, who else should I have? Somebody else. But I really think that we have to build the brand, though, because we have to get it on people's minds and to come here, and we need to start soon, because folk festivals usually start advertising 6-8 months out on who they are bringing in, because people make their schedules up and they've got to make their travel plans. So anything else?
Stay close.
Okay, I'm not going away.
James, would you prefer that we did the Greg Brown on Friday night and we do a ticket?
You'd have to pay people on a Thursday night to show up. I mean,
You kind of are if you give them a free ticket.
well,
That's what he's saying.
but they've got to get a room night. They've got to get a meal. They've got to fit in a work day. I just know from past experiences, as hard as we tried with some pretty good performers on Thursday night, we couldn't fill, any room in town.
When I took over the house concert series, they were doing it on Wednesday night, and they were having trouble getting anyone in, and I moved it to a Sunday, and I could fill the room up. Because middle of the week, you got to take off from work, and that's a lot of money for people, and
Yeah.
I agree with you on that one. It is harder. I know it'd be better for town to have people come in on a Thursday, but whether they will or not, that's a hard one. Like you say, on Blues Fest, the streets were full, but nobody was going inside, But I'm open to whatever you all decide. I would think a ticketed event on Friday would work better. And also, it sounds strange, but I'm not sure what his agent would say about doing a free show, because that it's one of those things where they like to have a good ticket price when they go out, just to keep their value up. But that's
Yeah, they have to report those ticket sales to
Yeah.
Scott.
Yeah. But then again, a Friday show with Jonathan Bird and Melissa Carper would also be a good pull. And I just think that Greg Brown has the national name in the folk world that would bring people in. And there's some other people we can reach out to, too.
So we'll be voting on this next regular meeting?
Yeah, I'd like to put this, because folk festival, we have to work at lightning speed.
Yeah.
I'd like to have this book like in a couple of weeks and get the poster, the advertising, and everything out there. I'm actually going to a folk festival next Wednesday, and I could promote it if we had it, And I think promoting at festivals around the country is a good way to get. Oh, and I asked the International Folk Alliance, which I'm a member of, which does a huge conference every year. They're in Kansas City now. They have about 5,000 members that show up for their conference every year. It's all folk. I asked them if they would donate a registration for their next conference as a prize for the singer-songwriter contest, which is $500 value, which I thought would be really nice. So I reached out to their board to see if we can get something like that too. So I'll just keep reaching out and seeing what we can get from people to help support folk music in Eureka. So that's.
Great
Great.
job, great job.
Thank
So
you.
it sounds like what we'll be voting on then is if we're going to come up with 7 to 10 and/or sponsorship for Greg Brown on the Friday night, Saturday night's taken care of.
Right.
And Sunday, you've got something running.
And we do have, because we won't be doing tech support for Larry on Friday, we have a little bit of extra money there, because we won't need all $8,000 to support 2 shows with Larry. We'll only have to support 1. So that'll be a little extra money we can have. And we've got a little additional allotted money for acts.
So do you think you might consider a sponsorship for Greg Brown at like $5,000, even though it's going to cost more? Is that something you're
If I could
considering?
find a sponsor, that would be great. I'm not sure if I can or not, but we probably could. And I need to like make an offer to his agent and just see what we can get him for,
Okay.
you know? Yeah.
Right, or several sponsors, right?
Or several sponsors.
Okay.
Yeah, if we could get several sponsors, that'd be great. I was thinking, you know, like say Sunrise Guitar. I've got some other folk friends in Fayetteville, and then I know some private people in town that support folk music that might be willing to donate some money too. So,
Great,
yeah.
great, that's
Yeah.
great.
But if you could come up with more money for a Friday, I think we really probably do need a little more money for a Friday night show just to give it the pizzazz, just to get people to come here that extra night.
Yep.
You know, and if we get main stage, I could move Sam Baker down there on Sunday night, which gives him another reason to stay another night. And he's playing with a 4-piece band in Kansas City that weekend, and I could possibly get that, but that will cost more money. And in my house concert budget, I didn't have it, so.
Would you be looking at a Sunday night or a Sunday matinee?
I would do a Sunday night with Sam, because he's got to come from Kansas City. He's got to drive 4 hours that day, so it'd have to be a night. We usually start at our concerts at 7 at the house concert, but that's enough to get people to stay overnight. And he usually draws from 3-state area when I have him in, because he's a big draw. He's been on Fresh Air, and he's nationally known too. He's a really nice guy. So that would basically give us 3 nights of entertainment, or 3 nights of draw for the folk world. You know? And like I say, folkies they're an odd group of people, speaking as one, but they do travel all over the country, and they spend a lot of money at folk festivals.
Okay.
They really do. So it'd be nice to build the brand back up and get our festival back again. In the future, after this, if I continue to work with y'all, I'd like to see if we could move the date of Folk Festival
Sure.
to end of April, where there's nothing going on in town, or around the 1st of August, where we still need a draw, but it's not as iffy in the
Right.
weather way as November is.
Right. And October, we don't have to,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's kind of a waste of money because they're going to be here anyway.
Yeah, well, you've got September's full, October's full. November, really, you have Halloween and diversity, food and wine. That's almost full. But April, we've got the AA, Springtime in the Ozarks, and the UFO conference. But I don't think there's anything else in April right now
Right.
that I'm thinking
And
of.
there's not really anything in the beginning of May either, is there?
Yeah, either one. May 1st would be great.
Okay.
I mean, it really would. And I know Andy Green has reached out to all you, and I can work with Andy on these things too.
Sure.
Because we could get it set up where we have have it set up so it works every year, and we don't have to struggle as much.
Right.
Yeah, and that would be really nice. That would be really nice. So,
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Good job.
you.
Really
Well,
good.
thank you. Well, I'm really proud that you asked me. I love Folk Festival. I helped put on, I think, 4 or 5 of them already. And as you know, I do the parades, and I've done craft shows, and I love doing events. So I love doing this event for you all, and it really makes me happy. So
Great.
I hope you vote on me. I'm sure you
Yeah.
will.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Rick, did you have something you wanted to say?
I just wanted to remind everybody that we do have $8,000 and change in a special events account from the proceeds that we made in 2019 that was set aside for 2020, which never happened. So that's not actually budgeted anywhere in our budget, but we have a little over $8,000 that was basically earmarked for folk festivals. So if we had to come up with an act on Friday, we have the money there. And I would sure like to use it so I can close that account, because I just have to, so the bank don't make it dormant, I have to transfer out $100 and then transfer in $100 every few months. So
Okay.
that's just an option.
Got it, okay.
So, Bobby, Thursday night, Friday night, just give thoughts. So I'd like to have a sense of when we have our meeting next week, what we're really, and I'd kind of like to give our direction. I know we're not voting tonight, but if everybody could give us your thoughts on Thursday or Friday, and I would appreciate it.
Well, I've never worked with the festivals like James has, but the Blues was a long time ago, and it may be time to retry a Thursday night. And if it was free, no harm, no foul, is what I think. And if it doesn't work, then we know.
Yeah.
That's just kind of my thought on it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Melissa, Carol,
I would like to try Thursday night, and it sounds like Nancy can get us some reasonable entertainment, and maybe we could do something fun and have some other event going along with it. Okay, okay. Sometimes you have to try something.
And that would give us a chance to do workshops on Friday that would also keep people over for the weekend.
Okay, okay.
And then if we could do Melissa Carper and Jonathan Bird on Friday night, that would be a show that would all link in. I think
Sure.
that would be a good lineup, and get people to come to town and stay in town.
Well, I have a crazy question. It's been,
back up to the mic so that the
yeah,
people.
it's been a while. We used to have a Queens Festival.
Yes.
Was that a good draw, or?
It was just locals. It was
Okay.
not a draw. I put the Queens Festival, the Queens pageant on about 4 times.
Okay.
And first of all, we have to go and beat the girls over the head to get them to do it. It took about 6 weeks of rehearsals to put on the show. And basically it's Hedge Hoppers and Queens pageant, and it was
Yeah.
basically for locals. I
Okay.
know that Tracy did something different and let all ages in in
Right.
2019, and I'm not sure how that worked, but it wasn't a draw. It was once again mostly for locals.
Okay.
And I put the parades on for years, but parades in November are so hard because everybody's planning for the Christmas parade in 3
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah.
And you can't, I love putting on a parade, but it doesn't work in November. It's just one of those things, so, but, yeah, I wish we could still do the Queen's Contest. We could get a pageant person and do a real pageant,
Yeah.
but we'd probably get more Berryville girls than our local girls
Right,
involved,
right.
and
Okay. I just had wondered, because maybe on the Thursday night, if we have something really kind of fun, that would say, okay, yeah, let's go see that. That sounds
Yeah,
crazy.
and normally it would be on Thursday, it would be the Hedge Hoppers and the Queen's Contest. That's what we did back in like 2007 and 8 and 9. And, but it's not really a draw for out-of-towners. It's basically,
Right.
because it's the high school girls and it's the
Yeah.
3rd grade class.
Okay.
And we still have to fit the Hedge Hoppers in somewhere.
Okay.
I keep coming up to, but there's
Yeah.
no music teacher at the elementary, so this new music teacher's going to have to teach the kids the
Okay.
dance and
Sure.
everything, so.
Well-
But yeah, I wish it was more fun to have a pageant, but
Okay.
it's almost heartbreaking at the end when the girls don't win. It's so hard, it's just.
I know. I had to judge the best dog show, and somebody had brought a goat, and the goat won.
Oh.
Hey, I got out of there.
I have horror stories I could share with you for that, but, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I'd say I probably had 20 hours in every festival doing the Queen's Contest and teaching those girls dance routines and
I
stuff.
like the idea, I like the idea of being able to have a 3 or 4 night billing.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea to, as you said, re-energize the folk festival.
If we did Greg Brown, and maybe, I don't know if he wants an opener or not, as a main act, free on Thursday, you're going to bring people to town. People
And
are going to be
rather,
amazed.
just a suggestion, maybe rather than just doing it for free, have people bring a food can or something.
Yeah.
It's that time of year, and
Yes.
that's their entry. And then that's sort of another incentive for people that maybe support the food bank to offer something.
Yeah, I think doing it as a free show, donations for a local charity would be a lovely thing to do. It really would be. So we could look at that too. I love the idea of doing a free Thursday show and bringing people into town, especially with a nationally known name. It's just, the idea of it is, to me, it's just kind of like, oh, it's kind of shocking because I'm used to, raising money for these things. So, I love that too. So it's up to y'all, but if you want to do a Thursday show, I think it would be great. And Rick said you have funds that are sitting there, so I think it would be great. And let's just get this ball on the road and get it booked and start a festival, because I think we can do really good this year with it.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Well,
Let me
thank
catch
you.
Harry up, because he just walked in. Harry just walked in. Harry, what we're talking about is Folk Festival, and we're considering, Larry, our promoter, is really only going to be able to do one show for us. He's not going to be able to do the 2 shows that we asked, so we're talking about letting Nancy do a show potentially with Greg Brown, and we're talking about if we do a Thursday night show, which would be the 11th, we might do that show for free, which is because Thursday night is probably a hard draw to get people to come and buy a ticket. We can give them a ticket, and they likely come to town, or we hope they come to town. Or we could do a Friday night show where we do a ticket on Friday night, and we may make our money back, we may not. But it's not in our current budget. So we would have to increase our budget roughly $10,000. Rick already has folk money that was set aside to the tune of $8,000, and I would probably recommend that we probably take some of our surplus, which we're at a surplus of $125,000 right now, to pay for the additional funds. So that's what we were talking about when did I sum that up correctly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds like it. And I think either way, but I think bringing people in for Thursday to stay a Saturday would actually do really well for your tax base, because they have to have a room, they're going to eat 3 meals, and if they're there Thursday, they're going to stay Friday, and if they're there Friday, well, they might as well stay Saturday, and we could have a good weekend. So, yeah.
James, to your point, would you get on board with this, with the Thursday night, kind of knowing that really travel patterns have changed and work patterns have changed so much in the last 18 months, that maybe we look at it with fresh eyes and we say, well, let's try it based on a lot of people work from home, a lot of people are traveling more during the week.
Does that leave a void for a Friday show, though?
Well, we would have Friday content.
We would have
just
Friday
wouldn't be an
content. We
auditorium.
could have a ticketed show on Friday. It would just be, like I say, if it was Jonathan Bird and Melissa Carper, the people who would come to see Greg Brown would be interested in that show. There's some other acts we could bring in that would keep that crowd in town.
It's a risky business to begin with, and it's
Yes.
very risky on a Thursday night.
I agree with you, and I agree with all of you, so I'm going to just be the easygoing here. But I think, I don't know. I have absolutely no idea whether a Thursday night free show would bring people in. I know if it was me and there was a free Greg Brown show in Oklahoma City, I would go, even if it was in the middle of the week.
Well, and if we have the extra money and we're going to bring cans of food, it could bring people. It maybe our locals,
Well,
Yeah.
we could also probably utilize the reservation system, even though we're not selling tickets.
We would have to reserve seats. We would. Yeah.
We'll need to do that, for any number of reasons. Also, we have the opportunity to, we've got a couple of nursing homes nearby that might have people that would want to come, or maybe a church group or something like that, the kind of thing we could offer ahead of time.
Yeah.
So that we can guarantee we could fill a certain number of seats.
Yeah, in my mind, I think we could fill this auditorium up on a Friday with Greg Brown, on a Thursday. We could probably halfway fill it with out-of-town people. And like I say, it's an unknown. Like James says, it's an unknown whether people will break. But like you say, people are working from home. Our work patterns has changed, and folkies are crazy. So, but I would be proud either way if we do a Thursday or a Friday night show. Like I say, though, when you're 2 weeks out for Thanksgiving, people are making travel plans already, so it's kind of hard to introduce new ones. But if we do it soon enough, it could possibly work. And if it didn't work, it was an experiment, a costly experiment and a good show. So that's. You got anything here? No?
Last fall, we had a lot of visitors in the middle of the week without any shows.
Right.
I don't see why this this wouldn't be a draw.
I think it would be a great draw, you know,
People want to come here, if we have a show for them to come see, I think that would make them want to come.
especially if we have a late fall this year, and if the weather's pretty. You know, we've had a lot of color in November lately.
Well,
Yeah, it's my birthday weekend, so I kind of remember it every year.
oh, okay, good. Well, and there wasn't too many parking spots out there now, and I think it's a Thursday.
And it's a Thursday, it's full.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
we had a
rocking.
full town in the middle of summer,
Well,
so
your high season right now, November is far from that.
that's true, that's true.
Well, November's a high season for my business. I mean, we
Well,
do
it's not for
your,
for the town.
okay.
No, it's a drop-off, you know.
It's a cliff.
It's a cliff. At Sparky's, we usually start closing at 8 o'clock when I was working there during, but a free show with Greg Brown might work out great, so.
Well, you'll find out.
Well, you know, it's
Yeah.
it's a total unknown, and it's whether you want to take the risk or not. It sure would look nice on a poster. It would look nice out there in the world. It would resonate with people, and it would start building the brand of Folk Festival back up.
I agree, and we need to advertise it as soon as possible.
Yes, I agree. Book and advertise. I'd like to have it booked and advertised by next week. I mean, that's me. I'm ready to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
just making sure, okay.
sticking my face in.
Okay, anything else on Folk Festival? We'll vote on this Wednesday at our regular meeting.
Okay.
We'll hash it out, we'll put it to a vote, we'll figure out the budget.
Okay, that sounds lovely, and
Thank
just
you
let me
for
know, I will reach out to Greg's booking agent and let him know that I won't have specifics until next Wednesday, and I'll do the same with Jonathan Bird, and,
You might ask Greg Brown, you might ask them how they feel about a free show. That
yeah,
might-
I need to do that,
And
because
report back. Okay.
I've had trouble when I don't have a high enough ticket for artists sometimes, so. Okay, thank you
you.
very much. I will step away if y'all don't need me anymore.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy.
Okay, auditorium, we'll just go to auditorium next. Gosh, the auditorium is an incredible tourism asset to us and to the city. And I just think it's time for us. This sheet that I handed out to you guys, these are not recommendations, these are just notes. I like to ask a lot of questions sometimes, and that helps me. So I just made some notes of things that I think that we need to consider or we need to look at for the auditorium. Ron has some drawings and some plans here for the elevator also that has been proposed, and this was proposed as a plan, as a joint effort plan between the city and between us. And Rick probably knows more about it than I do, and Ron, they've been involved in this process. So, how do you guys want to proceed in auditorium?
I have a question.
Sure.
It came up in the last meeting, and I can't remember who was talking about it, that Butch, I guess, had gotten a grant, but then when we put the bids out, no one would bid on it, on the elevator?
No,
And
it didn't get a grant.
Oh, he did not get a grant?
Right.
I thought the conversation was he got a grant, and then when he put the bids out, nobody would bid.
No, didn't
Okay.
get a grant, so he wanted to drop it, and then we voted to keep it, and the city paid for it all, but never got a bid.
Yeah, I don't
yeah,
have
this
any
is the,
information on that, but I don't mind. I'll ask Butch what happened there.
We need to improve the steps that go down this side here. There needs to be a landing and a little bit better steps with a rail. If we're going to use the basement at all and people are going to go down this way, I'm not sure everyone's going to want to take the elevator, so we need to improve those stairs, which isn't a big deal,
No,
But-
you're right about that, Harry. If even without an elevator, if we would improve that stair to where there was a landing, then you would go down, I think that could make a difference. And one of the hugest things that this town is missing, especially with this building, where are conferences? Where are an inspirational speaker? Where's a small trade show? Those are weekday travel. They stay, they eat, they bring their families back. We've had so many government things here, small ones. HDC people love to come up here when we would have it about every 2 or 3 years. We'd have a pretty big little convention, and a lot of it was in here, and they loved it. So I think we really need to invest something in this building and get that weekday, I mean, we're having great weekday traffic anyway, but let's start working on that weekday traffic.
We've got some water leaks. Last rainstorm we had, it came down over here and hit one of the fire alarms and notified the fire department, and they called, and it looks pretty bad now. It looks like it's getting worse.
Is it a roof leak or a wall leak?
Well, from what Ron and I could tell, it's probably the downspout or the gutter up there, but
Ron, you got,
we'll have to,
Yeah,
or
this,
Ricky, one of you guys
this
got
leak,
input on that?
this leak over here on the west side it's really hard to tell where it's coming from. But
Right.
it is coming from, it's coming from the wall but we don't know where the entry point is. So, and that's a chase. It, in between the proscenium and the exterior wall, there's an open chase there. So it is enclosed, so we can't actually see the point of entry without, maybe hanging some kind of a light and a camera down there to see. But we were looking at the amount of water that gutter has to handle, and considering the size of the roof, it looks like it's just it just doesn't have enough capacity to, and the downspout is really small, and there's some issues there.
Didn't you guys fix the roof a couple years ago, at least
Well,
over the stage?
Yeah, we fixed the roof above the stage, but the other problem there, and this is a whole nother issue, is that we have infiltration at below the parapet wall. The roof above the stage extends higher than the roof above the theater, and it's just more exposed. So there's infiltration coming actually through the wall, and I would suppose the mortar is just deteriorated to the point where
if you stand on the sidewalk across the street from here by the pretzel place or funnel cake guy,
yeah.
and look up there, you'll see that the mortar is washed out of a lot of the stone on the top couple of layers, to where some, it's a double layer of stone. There's a separate layer inside, but the water's been able to come in there and through, and it's a possibility we could have a stone fall out onto somebody walking on the sidewalk. So that's,
And there actually the rafter tails, you can start seeing the beginnings of some dry rot, so that could potentially turn into
So-
I don't know. Yeah, you can imagine. So it just needs to be on the radar, and there was a study actually done probably close to 10 years ago by an engineering firm, and they pointed that out. So. The roof probably helped some of that runoff, but a lot of it is infiltration through the wall. So it needs, we need some more information, but it needs to be looked at on the radar. And when you got water infiltration, those kind of issues, they need to rise kind of to the top, I think. Because it just causes problems. in the
something
future.
else is the wheelchair lift out here has broken down several times before shows. I know a couple of years ago before the corral, there was quite an uproar because people had called and said, my aunt wants to come, she's in a wheelchair, can the wheelchair get up there? And they were told sure, and then no one could make the thing run because it needs to be replaced. It's been patched together many times, and, maintenance on this building has not been kept up with.
Harry, what are you seeing as a budget for this?
Pardon?
What are you seeing for a budget for this, to start this?
I don't know. We'll have to get some quotes on a chairlift. We have to get some quotes on the stonework. I'm sure that we've probably got a local stonemason that can do tuck pointing if he's, you know, if he's got the ability to hang over the edge. I mean, you can build something that hangs out there and you can put a scaffold out there. It's either that or scaffold all the way up from the sidewalk, which would really be a...
Well, we have that bucket truck.
Bucket truck won't, I don't think a bucket truck will go that high.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have a question. What kind of facilities are downstairs? It's been a while since I've been down there. Do we have kitchen facilities down there? I mean,
So what we would be adding is a restroom downstairs.
Okay.
That's a part of this plan. Yeah, see this area here? You know where the concession area is now? When you go down the stairs there to the right, there's a little concession area.
but that's my question. Do we have,
No,
This-
you can't cook in there?
No.
but we could do that. I mean, it's just a huge, huge room. I think, did you roller skate down there when you were young?
No, I took ballet.
Down there?
I was very terrible at it, but.
Now, there is a vent down there. I don't know if it
Well,
meets...
My question is, I mean, if we're going to do this thing and being a restaurateur, you know, why couldn't we try to make a little money down there?
Yeah,
and
catering.
sell some stuff? And
Yeah.
do we have just a beer license, or could we do cocktails? What can
Beer
we
and
do?
wine.
Yeah,
Could we do cocktails if we,
sure. Well, we could do beer and wine, for sure.
but I mean, could we apply for a cocktail license?
That would be, Rick would know that question.
We can apply.
Okay, well, very
I
good.
mean, I think we could make some money. I mean, if we're going to
Yeah.
do this thing, why not do it right? And we don't have to have a whole lot of food, and we don't
No.
want to take away
Well, I
from the
agree.
restaurants that are open at night. But I
Right.
mean, if we're going to do it, why couldn't we offer some things and have some cocktails and beer and wine and make a little money while we're doing it?
If there's a show up here, we could have a simulcast down there for people to mill around
Absolutely.
Well,
and go to the bar and whatever.
After the meeting, does anybody want to take a walk down
I'd
there?
love to, actually.
Yeah, why don't we, is that okay with everybody?
I think we can't do that together without, right?
Well, the staff can, the
We can
press,
go, I mean, unless the press wants to go with us. Can we do that? How does that work?
Well, sure.
Did you old timers?
We could do that as long as we're not discussing something we're going to vote on.
yeah, we're just going to
So there'll
go,
be no discussion?
right. We went down there with the city council.
Okay.
Yeah, we will not
we
be
can do that.
discussing, we'll just be looking at it.
Jeff, do you have copies of any of these to take down there of the plans? Or you want me to make copies of this one that's up there? It seems to be the
Yeah.
general layout.
Yeah, could you do that for us? And you
Yeah.
can see that this is a new restroom that would be added here, and there's room there, there's where that sink is. That could be upgraded. It's not in this plan, but it could definitely be upgraded for, 3-compartment sink, et cetera, et cetera. Could go in that area. That's a small space. Now, this space behind it was this was the locker room. Is that right? Am I getting that right? That was the original locker room
Yes.
for the... Okay, and the locker room, there is some space there, but it's kind of awkward, but could be used.
Melissa, my mother played basketball down there.
Did she? Yeah, well, some of the, like, I think
I'm
Mickey,
stating her age now, probably.
yeah, Mickey Snyder said she roller skated down there, so,
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
yeah, let's go down.
So how do you guys want to move forward? Because obviously, this is a big, project. It's going to take us, I would suspect, a year to get through this
Well-
and get the work done, but we got to start on it, right?
I think if we have a scope of work that we know, that we need to put it in order of must be done, like we don't want rocks falling off on people's heads. And we definitely have some handicap access issues that we could fix. But I think the best thing to do if we're going to get, another engineering report would be to divide it into sections so we can tackle it, a year or two at a time in terms of our budget as well. As I've said forever, we have a lot of people in this town who, when they do their wills and when they pass, would probably be very open to preserving some of the basketball, roller skating, dating memories that they have in this building. And I really think this is the time that we need to really start thinking about asking people to support some of the ongoing work, particularly operational things that need to be taken care of on an annual basis going forward. We're really missing a huge opportunity with the auditorium, and it is a fantastic building. I had the opportunity of doing a number of concerts in Galveston, and the era of that opera house there is about the same as this one. It's a very similar house, except they have box seats on the sides. And actually, that one looks quite a lot like Ford's Theater on the inside, but really a similar facility, and they've put millions of dollars into that place. And frankly, it was always wonderful. The acoustics are still wonderful. We have an incredible acoustic facility here that I think we do need to really plan, maybe a 5 to 10 year plan, because it's going to take a lot of money to put it all back into place. But some person who maybe passes here, who has raised a great family that doesn't need their money, might consider leaving some of their estate or their home to the auditorium. And I think we really need to actively start thinking about and asking people to do that.
If I could, just in the short term, we have some shows coming up, touring acts and so forth. Well, we need to do shows immediately. We need to get those curtains cleaned and fireproofed.
Okay.
What else that we're talking about? We need a management structure. We need a staff. We do need the lift to be reliable. There was one other thing that.
Do you have a cost on cleaning the curtains?
I sent. Yeah, it was. Rick, do you remember? It was like 6 or 7.
1,000? So,
Yeah.
Maybe we make that motion, at our next meeting.
Well, this was a couple of years ago. I have requested a rebid. This was at least 2 or 3 years ago.
You also might ought to get a bid on totally redoing them. The last time I had to do this in an auditorium that was not anywhere near this old, they disintegrated when they were
Yeah,
taken down,
yeah.
and they started cleaning them, so you have to have a backup on what it would cost to replace them.
Well, I think
They're
I
10, they're
think we're okay.
they're about
We
less than 10 years old.
Oh, okay.
yeah, we need to. They'll come in with dry cleaning equipment, professional dry cleaning
Right.
and fireproofing equipment, and I should get the rebid hopefully next week. But
Yeah, if we know how much it is, it can simply be put on a meeting, and we can vote on it. If we have the money, we can get it done. So we
And-
need
and
to
the-
know what the lift's going to cost, we know what the curtains
Yeah.
are going to cost.
the other thing is we need a deep cleaning, professional cleaning of top to bottom.
Yeah, this place hasn't been deep cleaned in years, and it smells bad.
So those things are
But
on
they're
the
professional
short.
cleaning services,
Those are
with
on the short list.
Rogers and Springdale that
I nominate you.
Yeah,
do.
I was just going to say,
To clean it?
yeah.
To get it.
You haven't seen my bedroom.
I wish we could vote.
Yeah, no,
We could just vote right now for Heritage.
but a lot of people do really well, but their house looks like a mess, The plumber's wife is always the last one to get her stuff fixed, so.
True.
Well, are you kind of on that committee with Ron? You're working with Ron, Harry?
Yeah, I'm
Would
working
you,
with Ron.
would you
That was
please
only-
continue?
That committee was only for the director's position. That we never voted
Oh.
for the work of scope that we're talking about here for.
Okay,
We did talk about it because, of course, we're talking about the odd. And
right, but we can't vote on
the
it.
duties of the director are kind of connected to the auditorium and maintaining it and making sure everything's all right. So, yeah, we've come up with a pretty good job description for that.
Okay.
Probably need to,
Okay, so next meeting, can we get on the agenda how much it's going to cost to clean and vote on it? Can we get how much it's going to cost to fix the handicapped elevator out there?
Yeah.
Whatever is really urgently needed, let's get it. We need a price and we need to vote. If we could do
Okay.
that quickly, that would be great. We have some excess money, it sounds like.
Yeah, so, all right, let's put that on the agenda.
One of the problems that we had tried to address with the lift previously is the electronic wheelchairs are so heavy That lift wasn't made for that. So I actually priced out a lightweight ramp that we could bring them in this door and come from this upper stairway. And to be handicap accessible, it's almost out to the street, so it couldn't stay there. But it would be lightweight enough that we could remove it. And if we have the electronic wheelchairs, bring them in this door on that ramp rather than trying, because they break the lift. The lift just isn't made for that much weight.
We need a new lift.
Right.
That lift-
That thing, believe me, it's a piece of junk.
It's junk.
But that was an option that we were looking at. It was about $2,500 for the ramp. Kim and I were working on that a couple of years ago, and
And
stuff just kind of,
It would meet ADA specs.
Right.
We wouldn't have any problem.
Right.
Okay.
Now Ron's talking about the other lift.
right.
Yeah.
That lift is a piece of junk because of the overweight chairs that have been brought up in the past. And it's old. I mean, it's been there since before I came around, so it's probably outlived its life. There's better technology today. That's a screw lift. I mean, it's just a big screw bolt that brings that up and down, and the pin shears when those heavy chairs are on it, or it doesn't tilt, and it definitely needs some.
Well, let's do this. Maybe we'll tackle all of the things that are needed repairs and maintenance that are immediate.
Okay.
Let's try to focus on those, and I'll work with Ron and
Great.
Rick to figure out what that is, and I'll try to get it, what I can, to the next meeting, which is just
Okay.
next week, and we'll see
Okay.
where we're at.
Great.
And let's just start tackling one little thing at a time.
I have one more thing to add here, kind of falls into, if we're going to use the auditorium more, James's favorite topic is parking, of course. And I had a suggestion come my way that I think maybe it might behoove us to check out, and that was, what if we swung a deal somehow with the Dorches, contracting some of their parking from them down there by the train? It would be I think, an interesting conversation anyway, and they may not go for it, but,
Well, the mayor's already moving in that direction.
oh, he is?
Yeah.
Oh, great,
He was
okay.
he was on Channel
Okay.
3 last week. I saw him.
Sure, in the evening, the train's not running, so.
There's a discussion going on with Navholz as to parking.
Parking. Yeah. There is discussions.
With the Dorches or with other parking?
They're involved.
Pardon me?
They are involved, yes.
Oh, great, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know
Yay.
that.
Yeah, I think Butch is very proactive, and maybe we'll invite him to a meeting soon. He could update us on some of his plans.
Right.
I think that'd be great. I'll reach out to him for that.
Okay,
And Bobby, we're going to start addressing it in planning too, so,
good,
yeah.
It's-
It's a major problem for residents and tourists.
exactly, yeah.
It is. It's-
Okay,
Okay, anything else on the auditorium, we'll vote on it next week, and we'll
Okay.
try to figure out maintenance and repairs for.
Yeah, who's going to be the Solomon that decides, identifies city's responsibilities versus CAPC?
Well, that's a tough one.
I
isn't it?
think a
I'll
city
put it on
council
here.
person would be great, or somebody maybe that served on the city
Just
council.
split the baby.
Yeah, and so that's why I put it on here,
Yeah.
because that's
Well,
gonna,
they do have responsibility.
Yeah.
Well, now that we have a job description, do we want to put up notice that we're hiring for a auditorium manager?
I'd like to get the tourism director hired first, if you guys are okay with that.
Okay.
Because we're really
I
close,
agree
and
with
just to
that. The
update you
tourism
on-
director should have a voice in the
Yeah.
heart.
Just to update you on that, Madison, sorry, I can't remember her last name, will be here Sunday and Monday to do an interview with you guys. And then if you're okay with the special meeting on Monday, we'll do a public one. If everyone can make it on Monday, if you'll give me some feedback.
What time? What time?
I'm open Monday anytime, so,
And we have council that night, so, not that we want to make Ron stay all day, but you will be here, correct, Ron?
Monday?
Monday,
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
have
we have,
council
we do have a
Monday
council
night.
meeting
Yeah.
at 6.
So for me, Monday, between 2 and 5, or between 9 and 11? 9 and 11, 2 and 5.
I can be
Anybody else?
here.
I can be here anytime.
anytime? Okay. James,
James?
could you come for a public interview?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have to check with Greg.
Yeah, I'll check
Yeah.
with Greg. I'm going to try to do that Monday, so we have a public interview. And so that means that if you guys could look at your schedules for Sunday or Monday morning to meet with her, You can
Now,
reach
that-
out directly.
That'll just be the one person?
That's one person. You meet with her privately, and you can just have your own private interview. And then we'll publicly do an interview here with her Monday.
Sometime Monday.
And then I've also reached out to Gary, and he's looking at his calendar and trying to figure out what works for him. So we'll, as soon as but once we meet with both of them, then as far as I'm concerned, I'm ready, we're ready to move forward, yeah. But I'd like to maybe hire that person, and then we'd have another person helping us with the auditorium stuff. Okay, moving on from the auditorium. Melissa, you have got some bylaws stuff that.
Well, at the beginning of the year, Carol did give us some bylaws, and the mayor has asked, as he has with parks, and they are completing theirs. It's really important. It's important that we have them. I don't know who did this one, this draft, but it is excellent. I'm sure there's some things we need to add, some things we need to take out. James, do you have a copy?
No, I don't.
Here we go.
You can have this copy. I've got an extra copy. There you go.
Thank you.
He's got one.
Pass that down to Jay.
Oh, all right, thank you.
Okay.
He gave it one.
I know, Bobby, you said that you'd looked at it. Harry, have you looked at it? Has anybody looked at it, or, okay,
I have.
okay. Do you want me to start?
Sure, are you going to,
I'm just going to say some of the things I think. I think in Article 1, Section 2, it said 4 of these members shall be owners or managers. I think we need to define managers better. I don't want somebody that's managing the dishwashers, that's not what we're looking for.
how about general manager?
Well, that's what I put, but I still would like people, to decide if they think that's good.
I mean, I'm okay with it.
I think the idea originally was to have owners of businesses, but we have
Right.
some very large concerns. So I think they want, the
Right.
top person. Because
Well-
it's possible an owner might not live in town.
Right.
so.
Well, and also, these are taken from the state, and our businesses here are usually not chain, and so I think that's where manager was put in because of the chains. The owner's not going to be at them. They're going to have a general manager that's going to run them. So I think we should consider general manager.
Any other changes for you?
Well, okay, I went down, again, general. In Section 7, it says a vacancy shall be declared by the chair if at any time a commission member should resign, should miss a total of 3 consecutive meetings without just cause, if a death of the commissioner occurs or the member is no longer employed as a manager or owner of the hotel. One of the things in the cemeteries bylaws, they have or possesses the qualifications of the seat, which would connect with Section 2, which says you must be an owner or manager of a. So I do like putting possesses the qualifications. One of the things not in this commission and maybe not in the cemetery, but the rest of our commissions, you have to live in the city. If you move, you would not possess the qualities. So I think we should define it. This is not because I don't like Harry and I'm going to find a way to get rid of him. I want it tight where it's never a personality thing. It's a law thing.
So could you read it the way you want it to read, so we know where to insert that?
Okay. I would say a vacancy shall be declared by a chair if at any time a commission member should resign, should miss a total of 3 consecutive meetings without just cause, if a death of a member occurs, or that should be the death of a commissioner occurs, or the member no longer possesses the qualifications of the seat. But I also think we should have a definite definition of what that means.
What is a just cause, and who's going to determine that?
That's true.
Yeah.
maybe we should have a definition of that.
I think that's a good idea. We had, I believe in the HDC, if you missed 3 meetings without notifying, you could be out. And to me, that would be a just cause. Or I think if someone said, well, I'm going to be at my summer home for 6 months, they shouldn't be on a commission. But if someone's sick, that's different. You know, if someone doesn't call and say, hey, I'm not going to be here, then they do that 3 times. I think that's kind of showing they have no interest in us.
Okay.
Okay, would you just do that one more time for me? Occurs or the commissioner no longer possesses,
The qualifications of the seat.
thank you.
And then I would like a definition of that, like has, moved out of the county.
Well, I think the qualifications are
Right,
in the code.
right. They are.
Okay. Anything?
Let me go back to section 2, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So 4 members can live outside of the city limits.
Yes, yes.
No, I thought it was only 1.
No, 4 members, as I understand it, everybody has to live in the city except the at-large member.
That's the way I understood
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
But I do want to, I don't have the code book with before we decide on that. It seems to me in our city code, they changed it to where people can live in the county. Now, I could be wrong, but
No.
There's just this one,
Just the at-large member.
just this one
okay,
seat.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way this reads, all 4 members can live in the county. And I don't think that's correct.
No, that's not correct.
Are you sure, Harriet? Because
It really both should say you.
well, Samantha's coming up. She must know something. Oh,
Yeah.
We have a
Thank you.
special meeting?
We have a special meeting. Is everybody okay if we push that a few minutes to finish the bylaws?
or Samantha, do you have somewhere you need to go, or? Okay, we could
We could come back to this.
come back to this after the special meeting.
Okay.
So let's do our special meeting.
Okay,
to
let's
comply with what
adjourn,
you need.
let's adjourn the
we don't have to
workshop for
adjourn.
now.
We don't have to
No, we
adjourn for a
just-
special.
We'll
okay.
just come
We
back.
just-
Okay,
So I'd like to go ahead and call a special meeting into session for June 8th, 2021 at 6 PM at the auditorium. Carol, will you do the roll, please?
Yes, Bobby,
Here?
Greg, absent, James,
Here.
Jeff,
Here.
Carol here, Harry,
Yes.
and Melissa.
here. Did Greg let us know he was going to come or not
Greg's
come?
supposed to be here. He messaged me and said.
Do you
he's
know
gonna-
anything?
He was on the road, he had to take Harry to the doctor, he was hoping to be here before now.
Okay, so you were aware. Yeah, I mean, no big deal, just wanted to make sure because
Okay.
I don't want to pull something.
That's all right, we got a quorum.
We have a quorum. Let's
Okay, I
Thank you, Rick.
nominate Jeff Carter for C1.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
No, just any discussion? Let's vote. Bobby,
No.
James,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes,
Harry,
Yes.
and Carol.
Yes.
Okay.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go back to our workshop.
All right.
Yeah, we just need to amend that section to match the ordinance, that's
Yeah.
all.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay, section 7.
No, are we talking about the Carroll County still?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
okay.
So
that-
that-
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we're-
basically, I think they really probably shouldn't even mention Carroll County with the
Yeah.
Eureka Springs part. Both of them should say Eureka Springs, so we can correct that.
Okay. And then in section 7, we would change it, we would add
Possesses.
the qualifications of the seat.
I've got that.
All right.
I got something in section 5. We really need to have a vice chair. this in here, it doesn't really, it just says that there's somebody's going to do it. I really think we should have a vice chair, and that's something that I want us to vote on in the next few weeks,
Okay.
next
A
meetings.
pro tem is
Yeah.
that's what we do at the council.
You call it
Vice chair,
pro tem.
and then also I think,
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet, but we need to make sure that we have a secretary. So we should have a vice chair, and we should have a secretary.
Okay. Why don't we put that, I don't know if it's in this section, but at the beginning of the fiscal year, we will vote for
Okay.
officers.
And that includes chair,
Chair, vice chair,
vice chair, secretary.
treasurer, sometimes we have treasurer.
I think we did the secretary and the treasurer as the same person. That's what
Yeah.
we did. Carol is the
Yeah.
secretary and the treasurer.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think that's because I think that's,
Yeah, that's what we did.
Got it. Okay.
So we're going to change section 5 to read, instead of designated representative, we're going to put in there, we're going to have a vice chair. Is it going to read like that somehow?
Yeah.
Or
It-
at the beginning of the fiscal year, we will elect officers.
Okay.
When we send out the revised one, I'll highlight what we are striking and in
Okay.
one color and adding in another color. so.
Okay, thank you, Carol.
Anything, you have any more? Melissa?
Yeah, I have a few things. At the top of Article 2, offices, it says, "The principal office of the commission shall be located at 21 West Van Buren, Suite B, lower level of the quarter." I would like to strike that, not that we're going to go out of there, but it just, I think it should say, "The principal office of the commission may be decided, or should be decided by the commission," because we're really strapping ourselves into one location. We can change it to shall, because that means,
Okay.
but, it is where it is. And I think it says the commission should have the power and authority to move or establish, maintain branches or subordinate offices. So that's fine.
Okay.
And then in all throughout, it refers to the executive director. I would like to change that to the tourism director, because we have changed that. Okay. And then I'd like to add, in all the commissions I've ever been on, the chair kind of is the representative. It doesn't mean that they conduct business, but they're the ones that, a business would call. They're the ones that can be tasked with collecting information to distribute to the commission. So I'd like to kind of have something like that, so that I don't want them conducting business, but they are allowed to go out and gather and get the information to provide to us. They are kind of the liaison, like when the mayor needs to talk to us, a lot of times he just calls the chair up.
So
And
where are you talking about?
I'd be after Section 8. I would add something that would just maybe some duties of the chair. And then I'd also like another one, Section 10. If an interim director must be appointed, the commission will oversee decisions. And then Article 4, Section 1, it says the monthly financial, blah, 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 shall be presented by the executive director. I would like that to read the finance, the tourism director, or chair, because just, it needs to be cleaned up. Rick is the one that presents it to us, and we're fine with that.
Number 4 of that section.
Sure.
And Harry and Melissa, you know this rule better than I, obviously. I think it should say, we should prepare an annual budget by the beginning of the year, so it can be voted on at the
Right,
first meeting. But
right.
Is that,
Yeah, that's fine. We just should never approve it before the beginning of the fiscal year.
okay.
I
'Cause,
mean,
yeah,
sure.
Yeah, we need to work on it for
Yeah,
months.
yeah,
Okay.
that's correct.
Well, we have to pass, we can do it just like the city and pass the budget by February 1st.
Right.
You know, the city, the mayor has to present his budget to the council by December 1st. And then we have those following 2 months to hash out what's in the
Right.
budget.
Right. But, you know, as with Harry and I, we could change year by year, but we should have the right to approve a budget. So preparing it and then passing it after, the state law is that it is prepared, which I don't think is necessary, but it says, and passed after the first of the fiscal year.
I think
The law says January.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
In January.
for us, it's really important it be in January because of how quickly the season hits.
okay.
So
All right,
I would leave it there.
Okay, put January. But it's in 4, that's where it says, is it 4 that says a fiscal? One of these. Okay, in section 4, instead of saying fiscal year, you want to say January?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's pretty much all I could think of.
Section 5 here under Article 4, you know, says that special meetings have to be a 3-day notification. It seems it seems pretty long to me. Sometimes when we do special meetings, you know, we may need to call them more an emergency type situation than 3 days.
The problem is, I personally feel it's extremely important whenever possible for everybody to be here. And the more time there is, the better.
Right,
We definitely have had some emergencies.
right.
I do think 3 days is maybe a bit long, but, you know, it's problematic. I think if everybody's not here, it's a problem,
Right,
or at least has agreed to be here.
right. I think in the case, if we maybe take this out, if we do have an emergency that we have to vote and only 4 of us can come, I mean, we can still have the meeting.
If all 4 agree.
Yeah, yeah.
So how would you like to see it?
I would probably bring it down to 24 hours.
Yeah, I like that.
That's probably what I would do, is I would bring it down to a 24-hour notice to the commission, and it's still a 2-hour notice to the media.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
And that, you know, that's, if, you know, those are need-to-be type situations. Something happens, building's on fire, I mean, whatever. Somebody's hurt.
So I'll work on these.
Is there anything else, or is that?
If there's anything
we're-
else,
okay.
and send them out to everybody, and let me know if I missed something or we need to change it.
Did you have some things you wanted? You covered what I had. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll put that on for, anything else? Anything else?
Want to go downstairs?
Yep.
Okay, let's do that. I'm gonna leave my stuff here. I just want to remind everybody that, I guess the media's left and
Well-
no discussion
Yep.
outside of public